What's up, Philip? I'm about to have a conversation with the Tuesday game sponsorship czar as soon as he comes into the Zoom room here in the friendly 1L Studios in friendly Bedford, Texas. Austin is an independent sales rep for a bunch of different golf brands. We're going to have a little conversation. Going to get to know him a little bit better. He's been gracious and supportive of the Tuesday game so far. And I want to see what he's got going on. See if I can help him spread the word at all about any of his brands or his ethos or whatever he wants to talk about tonight. I want it to be a conversation. I don't want it to be a commercial the whole time. But welcome to the live stream. Should have him popping into the Zoom call at any moment. Got some storm clouds and thunder rolling in the background here in Bedford. Might be a little power outage. Hopefully not. If you want to call in tonight, the Grown phone is open. That's 925-726-3224. You can call into the show, ask your question, do whatever it is that you want to do. And here is Austin now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're rolling straight into this thing, Austin Holloway. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 1L Studios and my broadcast this evening with the great and powerful Austin Holloway, independent sales rep in charge of a variety of brands here in the North Texas area. My goal tonight is to have a conversation with a man that has gone out of his way to be supportive of the Tuesday game thus far. And I want to see what makes him tick as a person, as a salesman. And if you're the kind of person that's thinking about getting into sales, this might be a good conversation to listen to because you have access to a young guy with some creative ideas, a lot of energy, some outside the box thinking of ways to put deals together. And he seems to generally enjoy life. So Austin, welcome to the show. Can you hear us okay? Uh-oh, Pards, I got to unmute you.
Unmute.
There he is.
Hello, Clay, can you hear me?
I can now hear you, Austin. Welcome to the broadcast. And sorry for a little bit of a stumble there over the Zoom intro, but great to see you. I like the background you got set up for us tonight.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on my first podcast ever. So, it might be lame, but I've been looking forward to it all day, bro.
Hell yeah. Well, I like to see that you put a little effort into the set here. What all are we looking at there in the background?
Well, I was like, Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. So we got the Christmas lights. You told me, lighting is very important. As I've found out through my personal experience with Zoom, a lot of Zoom meetings have been going on within my companies for the past, 11, 12 months, whatever it is. I've lost track of time, like I know a lot of people out there have. And then we've just got, we'll just kind of pan over here. We've got a little Oklahoma State love. If you can't already tell, if you haven't already seen, I'm just super passionate about Oklahoma State. My mom went to school there. All of her siblings went to school there. My younger brother went to school there. It really is what got me started. We'll get into it later, but it's a big part of who I am. And yeah, I just love orange. As you can see, I'm working on Sun Mountain making an all orange rain suit, but we're not there yet.
Ooh, Ricky Fowler. You got to get him on board.
Yeah, Ricky is super cool, super young, trendy on tour. He's actually, I guess you would consider him a little bit kind of middle aged now with all those young guns on tour, wouldn't you now?
Yeah, he's definitely not young. I don't think of him as young, but he's not old.
Yeah. Well, is the lighting good here, Kamish?
The lighting is good for you. It's a little saturated on my end. I don't want to play with it too much. That's a rookie mistake. But I'm looking at the light show outside of the 1L Studios window here. It is pretty epic here in Bedford, Texas. So if we lose power to this transmission, ladies and gentlemen, just know that it's Thor striking down the broadcast this evening. But again, we have got Austin Holloway here live in the 1L Studios, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call in and ask your question, the grown phone is wide open, baby. 925-726-3224. That's 925-SANDBAG. And Austin has been crucial in the initial growth of the Tuesday game at the historic Golf Club of Dallas. So right off the bat, thank you from the bottom of my heart for seeing this thing for what it could be initially, throwing some neck belts in the pot, throwing some Green Garden Gold goodies in there as well, coming out and playing, showing us the RC1 and showing us the fin cycle. And Sun Mountain has donated a jacket. Welcome to the Tuesday game, and thank you.
Man, it's my pleasure. It's just been so much fun, man. When you told me that you were doing it and I saw the effort that you were putting into it, I'm one of those guys that I like to help out where I can. I can't always help out as much as I want to, honestly, but I saw you putting in the effort, man. And I just was like, well, what can I do? I want to play some more golf. And it's just been really beneficial for my companies. I can't, put an exact figure on it right now, but I know for a fact that the Tuesday game, who's ever in charge of the digital content, has been very helpful just to open the eyes of the community out there. Maybe somebody didn't know that I could sell them a Songbirdie. Maybe somebody didn't know I had some CBD gummies for them. And I want to pass that thanks honestly, authentically back to you as well, man, because I know this has been an undertaking and it's made a huge impact in the golf community. Maybe not huge, maybe that's a little preemptive, but I think it will have a huge impact. I think it is having a significant impact right now. And it's just been so much fun, man, to get to know Yerp and Maurer and Brooksy and get to know you better and get to play at a historic golf club of Dallas.
Well, it's been an absolute ball. I'm enjoying the momentum. We're coming off of a 16-player week in week 8, sponsored by Songbirdie. I've been enjoying kind of relearning my workflow. So the way that it's been going so far is, you advertise, you promote, and then when you're out there playing, hopefully you're playing well, but you're trying to capture little moments while you play. And then I come back here into the 1L Studios on Wednesday nights. Those are my late night creativity nights. I'm usually up till 2 or 3, and I kind of see what we've got, see the raw material, and then start to break it down and figure out how it could be usable and figure out what kind of caption needs to be on it, what sort of hashtags. And it's amazing how much work I've been putting into it and how relatively low interaction. I'm not saying that to be negative. It's just amazing, these folks that are able to leverage social media to a next level. And I see it as a challenge to understand how we can make it as captivating to others as I see it in my mind's eye. And I think last week was a bit of a breakthrough with people like Dirty Birdie hopping on cameras in between shots. And it's not like I want to distract you from your flow of golf, but if there's a moment that you think might be interesting, hop on, grab some video, do some commentary if you want. And then when we're in the 19th hole afterwards, just airdrop me the materials. I'll bring it back here to the mothership and see what we can make work. But Mark has had a good idea of putting a videographer out there, a dedicated videographer. Maybe some of the players' pool can go towards paying some golf savvy, iPhone video savvy videographer to come out there and follow us around for a little bit for maybe, I don't know. What do you think that would cost? Is that a $150 job for 18 holes, or is that a $200 job?
I mean, dude, I live in merchandise world. So is that like worth 3 next belts? Is it 6 next belts? Or is it, maybe it's a boom bag? Maybe it's an RC1, who knows? But I do know a couple really good photographers up in one in McKinney and one in Plano. But as far as videographers, yeah, that'd be super important, man. Cause bring in just that moment of levity out there, everybody, the camaraderie that, we've been able to strike up. And what you say, Commish, 8 weeks we've been doing this?
This is, that was week 8. We did lose 1 week due to the ice apocalypse, but other than that, we had 7 pretty good weeks.
And other than the ice apocalypse, every week has been sponsored by a certain sponsor, correct?
We had 1 unaffiliated event so far, but 1 out of 7 unaffiliated is something I'm really happy to announce. And that's been a big part due to you. So thank you for hopping on there. It's just nice to have a little carrot to throw out there for closest to the pin content. I get a dual directional camera going so we can see the tee shot and the balls landing on the green. Unfortunately, we haven't been sniping it too close to the hole for these closest to the pin. But as these fields continue to grow, I've got visions of, maybe just setting up a GoPro there, getting an hour and a half of content as people come through and clip it through. That way other people don't have to worry about videoing it. But if you're a small brand out there and you could use, if you just donate something of a value of $25, I'm going to come up with a weekly sponsorship deal on our board. And this thing is still a baby. So it's your opportunity to get in now and nurture this baby. I was talking to Keith today. I'm going to be relentless. I'm going to be ruthless in this thing until we get a real deal like experience for our winner. I'm thinking big. I'm thinking PXG gets involved. TaylorMade gets involved. Titleist gets involved. Whoever it is, we go out to their dedicated like Carlsbad location. We fly him out there. We do the whole bang. You follow the whole story of, man, I won the white jacket. And now the story is just getting started because now I'm going to go out to Carlsbad and I'm going to go through the fitting at the Kingdom. I'm going to get brand new custom clubs. I'm going to be there on the videoing whoever wins because I'm not eligible for these, unfortunately, although I do need a new golf club representation coming into this pro assistant at the Tribute and Old American, looking at anybody out there trying to throw me some equipment, but that's beyond the point. The point is that I'm excited about the Tuesday game, and I want you guys to come out and join us for week 9 next week. Looks like it's going to be the first good weather day over the next week. So come on out. Golf Club at Dallas, 1:30 next Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. And that's the cool thing about the way that you've organized this, Clay, to be honest. Or I just love the nicknames too. I love the new nickname I've got. I appreciate that. I love nicknames. Commish, sponsorship, Czar. We need more nicknames. Everybody, it should almost be a mandate. If you play in the game like Dirty Birdie or whoever, it's like you play in the Tuesday game. Not only are you going to come out and have fun, but you're also going to get a really cool nickname. How about that?
And they say that if people aren't making fun of you, they don't like you. If you don't like someone, you kind of just leave them alone. You're kind of like standoffish. But if someone's chirping you while you're standing over a 4-point birdie, or you're trying to grind out those points on a 15-foot putt in like Troy did the other day from the fringe, saving that point on number 4. I mean, if
Yeah.
people are chirping you, you're part of a community. You're part of a good group of guys and gals eventually. I don't want to eliminate anybody from the opportunity. And I'm starting to scout the Golf Club of Dallas, the rooms. Ideally, we're going to do an outdoor gala event at the end of the 26-week season. I was checking out the Oak Room in the historic Golf Club of Dallas. It's got some really cool vibes. There's like an old stage there with some stage lights. If we can get that thing cleaned up and usable, I think it'd be very cool to have someone like Europe come on and do 10 minutes of open mic while we're having our cocktail reception. And then we can have perhaps Brandon Pinkard, a participant in the Tuesday game who was part of a very successful rock and roll band. I don't know. Maybe he can play a little bit of interlude music, perhaps. We can get a string quartet. We can make this thing into an experience, something that we've missed out on over this last year. We've all had to kind of batten down the hatches a little bit, but it looks like things are trending in the right direction. And I'm very hopeful that by the end of June, we're going to have one hell of a year-end gala. We're going to have a lot of prizes to give away. And this is going to be something that brands are going to be clamoring to jump on. So this is your opportunity to get in on the ground floor. People are literally sponsoring a week of the Tuesday game for like a $25 investment. Pretty soon it's going to be $25K just to get the longest putt. So, ladies and gentlemen, all joking aside, the main purpose of tonight's podcast is to have a conversation. So I'm done selling the Tuesday game, but I'm going to be selling Austin Holloway. I'm going to be selling a guy that I've gotten to know that cares. It's nice to run into someone that is interested in moving the needle, interested in progression, interested in trying hard. And, our relationship kind of got restoked when you gave me the opportunity to go out there and help at that stray dog tournament. And it looks like you might have already got that on there. Tell us what's coming up with the stray dog tournament again.
Man, yeah, that is when we restoked our fire, Mr. Clay, and it was great to have you out there, man. And I asked you for a favor, and even though you live in Bedford and the tournament was in Fairview, it was for a good cause. It's Stray Dog, I believe, is the name of the organization, run by, another person that I have a great relationship with that is a tournament organizer. She spends a lot of time organizing this tournament and putting on one heck of a tournament every year. Last year was at the beautiful Heritage Ranch Golf and Country Club out there in Fairview. And we had Mr. Clay come out there and do a long drive, beat the pro, donate some money. And, kudos to Clay for showing up and doing that because, he didn't have to. It was a long drive and didn't get paid very much to do it, if anything at all. And he did it with a smile on his face and raised hundreds of dollars for a no-kill dog shelter in East Texas. I believe, if I'm pronouncing it right, it's in Eustis. Great part of East Texas out there. And, they just, we saw some of the dogs, right, Clay, out at the event that day. And it was great to see them. It's great to see what they're doing. I'm a big animal lover. I know you are as well. And May 14th, actually as of right now, May 14th, which I believe is Byron Nelson Friday, is when the Stray Dog 2021 golf tournament is going to be played. So if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to play in the golf tournament, this was totally unsolicited, but I thought it could tie everything together for everybody out there just to explain to them, the relationship that you and I have and that we've continued to nurture and grow is, it was a big deal to me that you took your time to drive all the way out there because you really didn't have to. And it meant a lot to me that you would do that for me. So in return, a relationship, it's a give and take. And that's what, large overview, macro picture here, that's what sales really is. That's what hospitality really is. It's a give and take in any relationship. If somebody promises you one thing and then they show up and Like, hey, I'm going to bring you 10 apples, man. Let's make a bomb pie. Okay, let's do it. And then they show up with 6 apples. It's like, well, I appreciate you showing up, man. You're still my friend, but some of that trust starts to erode. And that's just a small example. But I mean, you kind of get what I'm saying. If you say you're going to do something, you should do it. And then if you do it, then that relationship grows and prospers. And life only gets better from there when you bring more people in and you open yourself up and you support one another and help your neighbor. And it was just so cool, man. I got to play. That was a really good memory. Actually, got the picture right here. Some of my best friends here. We got Mr. Tom and Mr. James and Mr. Chris Lewis out here at the Stray Dog event last year. And even though that 3-wood was really janky, man, that was like one of the worst worm burner shots. But I appreciate you not like making me look too terribly bad on that fairway shot. I really do.
I always try to make the edits not too cruel. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. Occasionally we'll make fun, but I think it's on people that are willing to be made fun of.
Yeah. And let me just go and give the straydog.org. Again, it's a great no-kill dog shelter out in East Texas. They have a golf tournament every year. I texted Mrs. Linda to see where they're having it. I'm not sure this year, so I can't say for certain. But even if you can't play in the golf tournament and you want to support a great cause, a no-kill dog shelter out in Eustis, Texas, please go to straydog.org and you can find all the information there.
Awesome. Can we rewind a little bit? Can you give us the rise of Austin Holloway in a few minutes? Take us through your journey as a person to this point.
Like you said, Clay, I'm really passionate about what I do. I try to stay as positive as possible in life and always consider that it always could be worse. If we're breathing and we're above ground, it could always be worse. So I'll try to keep it short, but you know how I like to talk. So just feel free to cut me off anytime. Man, my journey started as a golfer, man. I was growing up. I have a younger brother that I played golf with all the time. And we played at LB Houston the most. We played at River Chase because we grew up in Dallas. So that's why we played LB. And me and my buddies would just get dropped off in the morning and get picked up at dark. And we'd have our push carts and we'd walk 36 holes or whatever. And I got the bug. I didn't make the golf team freshman year. Only Matt Filbert did out of our friends group.
How sad were you about that?
I was really upset, man, because, I had worked hard. I had progressed. I didn't start off as a great golfer and we all worked hard out there at LB. They had a good short game area. They still do have a good short game area. It's called Luna Vista now. Go check it out. But yeah, I was really upset, man. So retried out as a sophomore, made the team, and just golf's always been a lifelong sport for me that I've enjoyed playing. And sometimes you have your ups, sometimes you have your downs. But I was able to get a job with one of the great pros. Ben Burns hired me as a 16-year-old kid to work the cart barn at Hackberry Creek and kind of just was around the game and looked up to some really good players that we had. So I was 03, and I think Reichert and Samples and Matt Rudd and that whole group, Dougie Barr, I think they were 01. Yeah, I think that's right. I think they were 01, but it was just great, looking up to them and seeing their rise. And a couple of them went off to play JUCO golf and just continued to put myself out there, man, and network and be hospitable. Really just went from there. And I've worked at a ton of different golf clubs, but graduated, went to Oklahoma State, went through a little rough patch and had to move back to Dallas, actually. And it didn't work out. As an 18-year-old kid, I learned a lot of lessons at Oklahoma State. Have a lot of great stories, but I learned a lot of lessons. And I actually went to work for Mr. Bob Elliott and Mr. Billy Harris when I came back. And I kind of had to grow up and learn some things the hard way. And then I went back to school. So I went back as a 23-year-old freshman and finished my degree program on the President's Honor Roll. And getting in, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to get back into school. I knew education was important. My mom always instilled that in all of us kids. And I just knew I had to get back to school. Didn't know what I wanted to do. And just this one day, they're like, well, you can be a hospitality major at Oklahoma State. And I'm like, hospitality major? I didn't even know that existed. So it did. It was called Hotel and Restaurant Administration at the time. It's now been rebranded, called Hospitality Tourism Management, in hopes to attract more of a broad audience, because they felt, calling it HRAD was kind of limiting the scope of, well, I don't want to work for a hotel or a restaurant. Why would I be an HRAD major? So yeah, man, that had a huge impact, huge impact. The teachers, my fellow classmates, my ability to take the reins of the student run organizations like Club Managers Association of America, American Hotel and Lodging Association. I just got involved in clubs and put myself out there and tried to outwork everybody. Like that was just that's what I try to do. And that's what I try to do today. I honestly, I feel like I can outwork anybody out there. It's not always about talent. It's about work ethic and being willing to, like you said, stay up till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, turning the digital media that you go out and take. It's like, well, it doesn't just become what you've made it become. You actually have to put in the hard work. So that was just a huge thing for me. And I met this club manager at a conference out in Orlando as a senior. I really I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was about to graduate in May. And I met Matt Guzik from the Stock Farm Club up in Hamilton, beautiful Hamilton, Montana. And he looked at me and my classmate, Melissa, and was like, hey, how about y'all come be an intern for me this summer and come to Montana? So me and Melissa literally left. I think she had one more year, but because we were going together, we drove up. Like I graduated, and like the next day we drove from Stillwater to Hamilton, Montana. And kind of that's where I met the owner of Sun Mountain, Rick Reimers. He was a member there, and I took an internship, with whatever I could get. I always, here's something that's really important I think for the younger generation out there, is be able to wear a lot of hats, be willing to wear a lot of hats, be willing to do whatever you have to do to make yourself, useful around to whatever employer you're working for. So I was working in this really cool locker room, man, one of the best men's locker rooms I've ever seen. Like, taxidermy and, 6 different kinds of Twizzlers and peanuts and they had a bar back there. So I was like a bartender slash, banquet server slash whatever they needed me to do. I told Matt, I want to do it because I want to learn about the club industry, the private club industry, because it's a lot more than people realize. There's a lot more to it. And so I did that internship and hit it off with everybody at that club. That's an amazing club. There's some amazing people there that have affected my life in ways that I can't even quantify. And they're just such nice people up there. They're so down to earth. And it was just such an experience there. And that's kind of where I got into caddying as well. I don't think I'd really ever officially, I'd caddied for my friends, maybe in the Starburst Junior growing up or at the TO or wherever. But my first real caddy gig, getting in the white jumpsuit and doing the damn thing, was probably at the Stock Farm Club, man. So yeah, it opened a lot of doors for me. And I think that's what a lot of people they gloss over maybe. And you never know when a door could open. You got to be ready for those opportunities. Luckily I had some great mentors. Matt was a great mentor to all the interns that he brought to Hamilton that summer, which there were 6 of us. We lived in intern housing. Matt let me borrow his 4-wheeler. So every day I lived at the bottom of the hill, as they called it. And to get to work, I would wake up and get on the 4-wheeler and just like, I and there's this one hole, what is it, number 2, that you actually, how some courses are set up, like where number 2 is the cars actually drive in between where the tee boxes are and where the fairway starts. So, you always see like some people, and it was just a great experience, man. I still think about it to this day. I was able to meet Rick Reimers, the owner of Sun Mountain Sports and Sun Mountain Motorsports. And, with the introduction, with the help of the head golf professional, PGA head golf professional there at the time, he kind of put in a good word for me with Rick, said this kid's got, some promise, give him a chance, see what he can do. And even though, Clay, I had just spent an arm and a leg on student loans at Oklahoma State getting a degree, I was willing to take anything I could get, really, because I kind of knew a little bit about Sun Mountain. I didn't know a ton about it, but I just wanted to get my foot in the door. Because again, going back to, I feel like I'll outwork anybody, like bar none, like let's go start line, show me where it is. I'll outwork anybody. So I had to take a job that was, I had to take a customer service job, man. And I just had to put a smile on my face and realize that, hey, you're not going to be doing this forever. This kind of sucks right now because you're just answering phones and you kind of think after you graduate college and go through that, you're like, not to say I felt entitled, but I just knew I was capable of more. And I think the entitlement feeling holds a lot of kids back these days because they're just not willing to take that $10 an hour job answering phones and customer service. And you have to be willing to do that kind of stuff to separate yourselves from the average Joes out there, which, by the way, sidebar, pros versus Joes rematch. Okay.
No doubt. On fin cycles.
Yeah. So took that job, man, and worked that for 6 months, proved my mettle, moved up to inside sales, did a little hybrid, went around the high line of Montana, kind of proved my worth on the road, that I could be a good outside salesman. And then it was perfect timing, man. This Texas legend was ready to parcel off his territory because at the time, Steve Moreland had been taking care of the whole entire state of Texas. If you can imagine that, he had been the rep for Sun Mountain for decades, and he had been covering the whole state of Texas. Oof. And he had been doing a damn good job doing it. So again, I had to swallow.
He married?
He is married. He's got a couple of kiddos. He actually shout out to my guy, Steve Moreland, my mentor, legend, just retired February 1st, officially 47 years as an independent golf rep.
So what did he tell you? What was his best advice?
Man, he had so many good nuggets, dude. It's unbelievable. I still quote him to this day. One of them was, I'm not trying to be, as a sales guy, you're not trying to be everybody's friend. You're trying to go in there and have them respect what you do as a professional, and you respect them back. And that's all you can really ask for. He would say, Austin, we're not trying to be friends with these guys. We're trying to show them respect. We're trying to help them out. And we hope that they show us respect in return. So that was one of them. Man, he had so many. So I was his sub rep, Clay, for 2.5 years. I had to be a sub rep for 2.5 years, and it was really tough, but he taught me so much about the business. And I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with an absolute legend like that taught me so much about the independent rep industry, because there's really no handbook or there's no training per se. The training that I had was the 6 months in customer service and the 3 months in inside sales. That was my training.
So you have that, and then you get this book of business that you're supposed to pursue. And so what's the first move when you're like, okay, now it's my job to sell Sun Mountain stuff? What was like your first step?
Well, the first step was moving from Hamilton, Montana back to Dallas. I bought a Sprinter van because I thought that's what you did. I thought that's what reps did. So I bought a Sprinter van from Larry Barber, and it had a big Sun Mountain plastered on the side. It was a old turbo diesel Mercedes Benz, and it lasted probably, I don't know, man. It lasted like 8 months. And in that 8 months, there was a ton of stuff that went wrong with it. Not a ton, but there was some stuff that went wrong with it. And then, and then it just was like, okay, I probably don't need a Sprinter. This is a little overkill. It was kind of cool for a while. And being able to drive a Sprinter around Dallas, Texas is a challenge in and of itself. But man, when people don't know you, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I was so lucky. A lot of people just jump in, like they're from California and they get hired by a company, right? And they get thrown into the North Texas area, and they don't know 635 from 75. They don't know that they can't make an appointment at DAC and at General Creek in the same day and expect to, they can't make those appointments within 2 hours of each other because they're an hour away from each other. Like, just the simple things of being a local, being born and raised in North Texas, North Dallas, if you will. That was a big deal. And Steve vetted me, like he worked me hard. He made sure, because I was an extension of him. So however I showed up, looking and acting and talking, that was going to affect his reputation, because he put his neck out on the line for me. And he kind of said, hey, y'all take care of my guy. And some of the guys already knew me, so it was cool to go back and be like, hey, Billy, hey, Bob, hey, Ben, that gave me some street cred. And I knew the public courses from the private courses. I think a lot of companies make a huge mistake by not hiring local people. Like, you're pretty much setting your guy up for failure if you hire a guy from California that's worked there his entire life, and this is his first outside sales gig, and then you throw him into North Dallas or North Texas. Like, it's hard, because the industry has only gotten more competitive. There's been more vendors, more manufacturers come to the table, and I feel like in some ways there's less business out there for all of us to have. Now, there's plenty out there for all of us to have our own little slice of the pie in whatever industry, golf bags, sunglasses, whatever you're selling. But man, it was just such a godsend to be able to have Steve Moreland, vet me and introduce me to his guys. But that still didn't mean that, it was me that had to prove to them that I was going to do what I said I was going to do. It's as simple as that. You tell somebody you're going to show up with 10 apples, you show up with 10 apples. You don't show up with 6 apples, and you build a trust. And so the first couple months were very, very hard, because even though with me knowing the territory and knowing everybody, people had no idea who I was. I'm just calling in. I'm trying to, these were back in the days where people actually wanted to sit down and see you, and we booked appointments. And this was 2013, man. So this was 8 years ago, and things have definitely changed in the golf industry, man. But I had some tough days, man, where I was like spinning my wheels saying, here's another Steve Morelandism. Wake up in the morning, work as hard as you can, and feel good about the work that you've put in that day. Like, regardless of what happens, wake up, work as hard as you can, let the cards fall where they will, and be content with that, because you just have to, or you're going to drive yourself crazy. So it took a good 6 months before the floodgates really broke open. And I was just spinning my wheels saying, I'm doing everything I can. I'm going to see people. I put more miles on that Sprinter than I thought I was going to, and I have a big territory. I go all the way. Steve drew a line across the state of Texas, just, right across. And so I had everything to the north, and he kept everything to the south. So I was going, obviously Dallas, Fort Worth, those are my honeypots, but Abilene, Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls, Tyler, Lufkin, Texar. I go all the way over to Texarkana. I go all the way up to the Red River. I go all the way down to a beautiful Ridgewood Country Club that I got to play during the Starburst event as a junior. So it's a big territory, man. And the floodgates broke. And I know it was because of the hard work that I put in. And, you know, these guys, it's golf pros, man. We're in the golf industry at the end of the day. I think sometimes people forget that, but you start to get to know people. And now in year 8, I actually feel like, you know, I feel like I know certain people on a personal level. I know I do, because, you know, we have that relationship, and really sales is 110% about building relationships. Just like me and you built our relationship. You did me a solid. You came out, you were hitting bombs, absolute
Not really.
bombs.
Like 278 carry.
Yeah. But I mean, that struck a chord with me, man. I was like, dude, this guy, you know, and we had already met each other from Dallas National days, but, you know, I was like, you know what, this guy's a good guy, and hopefully I can get to know him more. And sometimes people don't want to get to know you more, and that's fine. You just got to be okay with that. But you have to be true to yourself, man. Like, Steve even told me, he goes, Austin, you're a different generation. I'm going to teach you the way I did it, the way I was successful, but obviously put your own spin on it, be yourself, and do with the territory what you will. And I think that's just super important for anybody out there, is to be your authentic self. It's scary sometimes, and it can be nervous, or you can think, man, what's everybody going to think about me? But yeah, you just got to be yourself, put yourself out there. And I'm a very personal, outgoing person. So to strike up relationships with the amount of people and the high quality people that I have in my territory over the last 8 years has been absolutely incredible, man. And I'm just so blessed with being in one of the, you know, as you know, one of the best sections, if not the best section in the entire country. And yeah, it's just all about relationship building, man. Have fun with it. And that's kind of, so anyway, and Steve, that's the other thing, Clay, is that it's unheard of to walk into something like, oh, here's a book of business for the best golf bag company in the market right now. You know, like, so he gave me like 75 active accounts or 100 active accounts. And a lot of reps go in there and maybe their book of business isn't so big. And he also gave me Next Belt, and he gave me Laser Link. And what else did he have at the time? That was it. It was Sun Mountain, Next Belt, and Laser Link. And so, yeah, things have morphed over the years. I think Next Belt's actually about to celebrate our 10th anniversary as a company. So Next Belt was very, very new back in the day. And that's probably been the most fun, because a company like Sun Mountain that's been around for 37 plus years and been the top dog in terms of, you know, golf bag manufacturing and high quality products. Everybody that's in the golf industry knows Sun Mountain, but Next Belt it's been really fun, because I really had to put the nose to the grindstone a little bit extra, and just, you know, keep knocking on the doors. And there's an example that just happened to me last year, man. I'd been knocking on this door for 7 years, man. Persistence. And they had not wanted to bring me into the pro shop for stock, but they had done some really nice tournament orders. So it's almost like they were testing me, you know? And then finally last year, I broke in with our awesome triangle display in the shop. And I felt so fulfilled, and felt an actual achievement from thinking to myself how many times and how much work I had put into this one account to service their member. At the end of the day, I truly believe that Next Belt is the best belt out there. And so that does help if you're working for companies that you really believe in, truly, wholeheartedly. But yeah, some people didn't believe in it. I think majority of the Metroplex has jumped on board, and I'm so thankful for the partners that we have. But persistence, man, don't give up. You can't just because people tell you no, if you act professionally, and then you just say, well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. We have great, tournament gifts if you ever have any outside events, and I'm always here for you if you need me. And that's the tough thing, is to balance uh, life and work, have that nice balance that everybody talks about having. But my thing was, I wanted people to genuinely know that they could call me if they needed something. And I've gotten so much better over the years about returning phone calls and returning emails, because it is a skill that you have to learn how to juggle 115 different accounts for 3 different lines, and you have 115 different, your personality is different than Big Bird's, and Big Bird's personality is different than RG's. And, everybody's got a different personality. And it's like, you have to understand that. You have to read the room going in there and understand who you're dealing with and get to know. And that's, again, man, I hope I haven't gone on too long here, but it all comes back to having a genuine relationship with that person, so that they know that you're not there just to sell them a bill of goods. Obviously, they know your job as a sales rep is to sell, and that's how you make commission, and that's how you earn a living and put food on the table. But you can do both. I think I've proven it, and I continue to strive to be better every day. Am I perfect? No, I'm human. But I really am proud of myself for the progression that I've made from year 1 into year 8, just understanding how to take care of my customers better and how to communicate better.
Awesome. Well, so many thoughts arose during that. I guess you said you have to be yourself and be comfortable being yourself around others. Do you feel like you have found yourself through sales? And tell us about, your journey as a person. Have you always been a very outgoing, talkative person that would be good at a cocktail party, or were you more shy? And I guess rewinding back before even that, can you tell us about maybe what switched in your head when you didn't have immediate success in college, and then you went back and had extreme success?
Man, I think the latter of the two questions. I think I was kind of embarrassed and kind of ashamed of failing out of college, and having to come back home, and all my friends are in college, and they're progressing their education, and I'm sitting there having to go work at Einstein's Bagels as a baker, and then go just do whatever I had to do. I had to get a job, because I actually tried to go to Brookhaven for a couple semesters. That really didn't work out either. But my family was very an integral part of kind of what they just reminded me about who I was, and who I'm meant to be, and how I was raised. I think I've always wanted to make people proud in my family and my friends, and I don't think anybody likes letting people down. It's human nature that we want to make the loved ones that we have in our life proud of us, and happy to talk about us and stuff like that. So, family was a big part about it. And then I had some great mentors at Oklahoma State, Dr. Ruby and Dr. Davis and Philippe and Heidi and all these professors. When I got, it's not like I went back to college and was perfect, because I wasn't. But if I didn't show up to class one day, Philippe would call me into his office, and he said, "You're better than this, Austin. You have more potential than this. And, get your shit together." And I think tough love for me really helped. And then I kind of found my calling being a leader of sorts, being older. I'm in class with these 18-year-old kids. I'm 23 years old. So that's a huge age gap in that age range, 18 to 23. So that was very different for me. And I took it upon myself to try and just be a good example for these kids, these younger kids. I was still a kid at the time myself, but yeah, I just got involved in stuff, man. I had one of my best friends, James Kyle, was in school there at the time. My younger brother, Travis, was in school there at the time. They held me accountable. And I think it's super important to surround yourself with people that aren't afraid to call you out on your shit. If they know the true you, if they know your true character, and I was messing up, then my brother or James Kyle, they kicked me back in line, and I was lucky to have guys like that. I actually got involved in lacrosse, dude. I played lacrosse for Oklahoma State. So getting involved in these extracurricular activities, school, I'm a smart kid. My mom made sure that we valued education growing up. Like, that was paramount for us. So I always knew I was smart. I just didn't know. I had a lot of energy, Clay, as you know. And sometimes when we're younger, we don't know how to channel it. So I was able to surround myself with the right mentors, the right professors, the right friends, Trace Mail, Mikey D. We lived in Stillwater. We lived on two golf courses. The White Barn was a par 3 course. And then after we lived at White Barn, we moved to the Links, which was a full 18-hole course. Dude, I'm telling you, in college, it was like $600, fully furnished apartment. And if you lived in the apartment complex, it came with a free golf membership. So you could play golf. We would get out of school, play golf every single day. And we had a game similar to the Tuesday game, but we had a Thursday afternoon game. And you start to get to know these guys, and I still stay in touch with some of them to this day. So, that's the answer there for you. And then in terms of, I think your first question was, how do you be true to your authentic self? How do you kind of just like put yourself out there? I was very outgoing. If you ask my family, they'll tell you I was very outgoing as a child and growing up, and never was afraid to speak my mind. Some people might call it aggressive. I believe in myself, and I know what my value is, and I know what I can add to an operation, to a company, to a university, to whatever I'm doing. I want to add value. That gives me a lot of joy. And so, it becomes, you have to love yourself. If you love yourself and you accept yourself for the shortcomings that you have and the strengths that you have, and the self-awareness is huge. If you have no self-awareness, life is tough, sales is tough. But if you're self-aware and you know that these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses, then that really helps you combat the things that you're going to face along the journey of life, not only, growing up, but then you get into your professional career. So yeah, man, I always wanted to be, some people might call it FOMO now. And I try not to have FOMO, because, just the fear of missing out on stuff. I wanted to be in and around stuff going on. I wanted to be doing stuff. And so it was like, I never thought about being a salesman, but I think hospitality, just like making sure people are doing okay. I worked at a bunch of restaurants growing up. I worked at the famous Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater. So if you need some cheese fries, go to Stillwater, check it out. But I did a lot of food and beverage growing up, and that'll humble you real quick, because you're in front of a table, you're a server, and these people are wanting their dinner, and you better show them a good time. A server, I have so much respect for the F&B people out there, that have essentially over the last year done so much for everybody, just being open, so that helped me for sure. And hospitality was just, I guess you would say, in my blood, man. I definitely get that from my mom. And she just always was so good about staying in touch with her friends growing up. And I saw that, and I saw the notes that she would write, and I saw the constant contact. it's not easy to have a lifelong friendship. And that's why some people, friendship, lifelong relationship, whatever you want to, professional, personal, you actually have to put in the effort. So I saw from a very early age her putting in the effort to have those personal relationships, to write those letters, to call during the good times, to call during the bad times. And yeah, it just kind of, like I said, I was serving Diet Cokes and club sandwiches in the locker room. And that's kind of how I got into working for Sun Mountain and being an independent rep and working for Next Belt, man. Dude, I'm still figuring out who I am. I think we all kind of want to just figure it out, do everything real quick, and we all grow as people. And I think you really have to take a moment to be with your thoughts sometimes and really evaluate, you know, who your true character is. What is your moral compass? What makes you tick? You hear this a lot, what's your why, And it's like, I love helping people. I love people. And I want to, in a perfect world, like if I get somebody a golf bag and that gets to be in your hands and you're happy because the buyer did it in a very speedy way and it showed up correct and that buyer looks good, then my job is done. Like I want to make all you young salesmen out there and saleswomen, you want to make your buyer or your pro look good to their member or to their customer. Like that's the name of the game. We're in the shadows and we don't get a lot of publicity. We don't get a ton of accolades, but stay humble, stay hungry, stay humble, and just be self-aware that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and know that you could always be doing it better. But always remember, what are your standards? Like, don't fall just because you're allowed to do it, just because nobody's watching. Don't run the 3 laps around the track and say you ran a mile. Like, what are your standards? Run 4 laps, get your mile in, and feel accomplished. There's a lot there, man, but less is more, man. It's really not rocket science. You just got to be yourself. You got to love yourself, and you gotta work hard. That's it, man. And you can learn traits. You can learn skills. Like, even if you're not the most outgoing person, you can learn things through life, through experiences, and through meeting people, and through getting to know your mentors out there. I mean, we had this one sales meeting a couple years ago, like probably 4 years ago now, up in Minnesota. And not all the rep force went, but a good number of them did, about half. And some legends were there, Moreland and Hofer and Holcomb. And I was self-aware enough to know that, man, I've gotten myself into this industry that's a monster. There's a lot to it. And I, reached out to the Hulk. What a great nickname, by the way. Grant Holcomb, shout out the Hulk. Doug Hofer, legend over there in California. Steve Moreland, and you just soak up all that stuff from them. Soak up as much as you can, and then put your own twist on it too, because we don't need a bunch of, nobody wants a bunch of copycats out there. And because we were all made individually different. So we each have our own individual strengths and uniquenesses about us. But if we don't show the world that, then nobody knows, like I'm not, my weaknesses are definitely the data entry. The funnest part about my day is going to meet with Clay Pro and talk to him and see how his family's doing and see how his pro shop's doing and really talk to him. And then the hard part for me is realizing, man, I got to go home and do 2 hours of order entry, on top of, like, my strength is definitely face to face. And I've gotten better at the back of house stuff over the years. But, I was watching this video last night thinking, kind of what my message was going to be to the young professionals out there. But it really is all about standards that you hold for yourself, and you start holding yourself to a higher standard, and you realize that you're capable of so much more than you thought, and that other people are going through the same struggles that you've gone through. And, power in numbers, man. I have this little thing on my desk. Every morning I have a different quote, and I try to let it inspire me and move me. And this one right here says, "You must trust and believe in people, or life becomes impossible." And, we're stronger in numbers, man. We're stronger together. And you just kind of have to understand that maybe you aren't who you thought you were, from 5 years ago or whatever. You just embrace it and continue to work hard, and people will take notice. Like, people took notice of me going above and beyond, answering telephone calls in customer service. And so I got a promotion, and then I got another promotion. And now I sit here being one of the luckiest independent reps in the business, in my eyes, just because of the people that I have to support me, that I can pick up the phone and call anytime. And those are fellow reps. Those are buyers. Those are golf professionals. And I mean, the golf business, as you know, Clay, is made up of some very, very special people. And yeah, man, it's such a, you gotta fail. I failed so many times, man. And I know I made my life so much harder than it had to be. And I still fail. I still mess up. I still screw up, but just don't screw up the same way you did over and over again. Learn from those mistakes, learn from those failures. It hasn't been perfect, man. Not every order has shown up on time in my career, and it hasn't shown up always with the right logo. And there's been some instances where it's been on me. But I think the most important thing there for reps to understand and know is that if something happens, be honest about it. Face it head on, like, take full responsibility for it and make it right. It's still not the pro's still gonna be unhappy that his valuables pouches didn't show up on Friday like you promised him. But maybe you figure out any possible way you can make it up to him, and you just be honest with them and tell them what's going on. Communication and honesty and character and integrity. That's all. I mean, golf is such a special sport because of all those adjectives that I just used. That's what makes this game the greatest game ever played.
Beautiful. Well, let me go back to the business side of it, if we can. As a young person out there trying to figure out what they want to do as a job, I would think that the idea of an independent sales rep would be very intriguing, because that comes with a lot of freedom. You get to set up your strategy, or you're basically your own boss. I'm sure your quotas are kind of your boss, but tell us about how you learned to structure your time in order to be as efficient as possible, and I guess sort of how your strategy may have developed over time, or how do you handle all that freedom?
Well, it's definitely tough, man. You have to be very strict with yourself, and it helps to have a schedule. I used, in year one, like, I remember my first PGA show, I was reaching out to all these pros, and I had this piece of paper, and I had an 8 o'clock, and I had a 9 o'clock, and I had a 10 o'clock, and I just overbooked myself. So it was one of those things where, yeah, you really have to understand, again, going back to what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, about, how big's my territory. I think a lot of people try to do too much. And I think companies expect these reps to do too much. Companies out there, it's not about them seeing 20 people a day, because that's not even possible. Like, start with seeing 3 customers a day or 4 customers a day. and really dive into getting to know those customers, and understanding what they sell in the shop and understanding their business model. And I mean, it's all a time management. Hold on one second, Clay. It's all a time management play, if you will. So sorry about that. The old alarm went off. But yeah, it's tough, man, to navigate because there's no real handbook. So I would say do some research in your territory. Understand, like driving to Waco is going to take me an hour and a half. That's important. Obviously, if you're going to drive all the way out to East Texas or Tyler or Texarkana, like use your time wisely. Go see everybody on the trip. See as many people as you can out there, because you definitely don't want to have to double back to Texarkana or Longview or wherever, just because that's a long drive from Dallas, and everything comes out of your own pocket, guys. As independent contractors, we only make the commissions for the product that we sell. So if we're not working, I mean, that was Steve's thing. It's like, if you don't wake up and you don't give it your all, then, the commission checks aren't going to be there. You're not going to be reaping what you could, and you're not going to survive as an independent rep, because there are a lot. I wish I would have known more. Steve did prepare me. He said, get an accountant. Like, you're the CEO. I'm the CEO of Holloway Golf, and that's why I've decided on my own, in some cases. Songbirdy definitely hooked it up, Dan the man. But for most of these Tuesday games, these are all coming out of my own pocket, because I'm an independent contractor. Where you see value, you should invest. You should invest in good people. You should invest in things that you see value in. But realize that driving to wherever, if you have to get a hotel room and you got to buy 3 meals a day and you got to spend the gas money to get out there, and it's all coming out of your own pocket, and you don't have a good sales call or a good sales trip, you're going to lose money. Like, you're not going to survive. So that's why a lot of independent reps, if they don't align themselves with the right companies, or they don't, with the right lines, the right companies, and that's kind of just by chance, right? Because again, I fell into a great territory with Next Belt before it was anything, and Sun Mountain, which was everything to the golfer. So you really have to have good brands behind you. You have to have good company support behind you, which I totally do. But again, I mean, that's just the way the business is set up for us independent reps, is that everything comes out of our own pocket. We're 1099s. And at the end of the day, we sometimes have to make decisions on whether or not this is a profitable thing to get into, if you will. So just, I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons over the years, man. Just, driving all over the state and learning that I can't always do that. And it's definitely a different ball game, man. But Steve prepared me. He told me what it was going to be like, but Clay, it was even more than I thought. Like, even with Steve telling me, prepare yourself to do your books every month and get an accountant and be prepared for this and be prepared for that. I still, to be honest, I still wasn't ready for that. And I went through some growing pains when it comes to, again, that's not one of my strengths, is the back of the house stuff. I'm getting better at it. I can do it. I know I can. But what I'm finding out is that my time is very valuable these days, because time is all we have. And I have a few lines, and I have a lot of customers that I'm super grateful for. But all we have is time. So you just have to use that wisely and understand that maybe your time being used wisely should be out in front getting sales. And maybe down the road, I could hire a bookkeeper or maybe a personal assistant to help me book my appointments out and do the order entry and, just kind of be back of the house, because I would prefer to be front of the house 24/7. It's not possible right now. It's still one man operation as it is with you. But, I just think down the road, my time could be better used selling more stuff, and then having somebody, like, I just think that's the smarter thing to do, right? Like, if you know that if your strength is in face-to-face sales and getting orders, then maybe you should focus on that, and hire somebody else to focus on the stuff that bogs you down and brings you down, and really isn't any fun for me. And so that's like my old mindset, because being in year 8, just, I'm not going anywhere. Everything's trending up with golf being what it is and being so hot. Fin Cycle's doing great, and all my brands are doing great. But yeah, you kind of have to know who you are, have the obsession of what you do for a living, be obsessed with that. But, also just know when you need to take a break too. Know when you need to take a mental day.
Speaking of which, I need to take a break. I have to pee. I got to be right back. Pee break. Whew. Thank God he said break. Ready to bust.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, I was probably rambling on there, bro.
No, it's great to hear your passion and to follow your train of thought. So, how do you get to a point where building a team is realistic? Have you mapped this out? Do you need to bring on more companies to represent? Because I want you to kill it. I want you to create this empire. So how do you take that next step of hiring your first employee?
I don't know, man. I've thought about it, and I kind of want to be the Ari. I'm a big Entourage guy. So I think about Ari Gold and how he had to build his rep agency from scratch, and how he had to claw and scratch and fight for everything that he got. And then, he got it all at the end. But, yeah, it's hard, man, because you put so much of yourself into it, and these accounts mean so much to you. I'm not just going to hire some guy off the street, because just like Steve hired me, whoever I get to help me out will be an extension of me, and will affect my business either positively or negatively. So that's kind of a big deal. That's what's prevented me at this point from, hiring an assistant to pay them hourly or to pay them weekly or to do whatever. But definitely, to get more balance in life, that would be nice to be able to have that one day, and we'll see if we get there. But hey, I'm okay.
We'll see. We will not see if we're get there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there, dude. But hey, if I got to do it all myself, man, I'm totally fine with that too, dude. Like,
are you pretty happy?
I'm a pretty happy guy, man. Most of the time, I go through my ups and downs just like every other normal human being, but I try to be a pretty positive guy. And I think most of my friends, my true friends and family, will tell you that. And, like I've been saying for the past couple of weeks since the ice apocalypse, I feel bad for everybody out there that struggled so much. And when people ask me how I'm doing, honestly, it could always be worse, right? We're here, we're above ground. And I think positivity mentally, having that positive mental outlook, it just rubs off, Clay, on people, and you can impact people in a way that you didn't even realize, or you don't even know. Like, you walk out the door and maybe they were having a really tough day, but nope, somebody's beeping in right now. One of my fellow reps is beeping in right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll decline that. We'll call her back. But yeah, man, I like to stay positive, man, if I can. Life's too short, and why not, right?
100%. I think about death. I think about death like daily. I just sit there and I listen to a lot of Alan Watts lectures, and one of the things he recommends is to like think about skulls and think about dark things, not to be negative, but just to take from that. I take a lot of inspiration from that. I'm like, I got to get going. I got things I want to try and do, and creating things is the closest thing to magic to me. When I sit in the studio here and all of a sudden some little goofy thing comes out, some little joke to go into the video, or I work on some illustration or something, that's what it's all about to me, aside from family, is just honoring the ideas that come out of you and creating room to let them grow and see if they work. And I've been on a bit of a losing streak in traditional metrics since I had some early success playing, and I thought that was going to go into a different direction. But I'm so grateful now, looking back, that old saying that life only makes sense looking backwards. I've had some relative failures over the last few years, but now getting back into the golf business with a better attitude and seeing this Tuesday game and knowing that if I do it right, it can be sort of like the club pro guys' fake league night in real life mixed with what they're doing so well at Foreplay and Barstool Sports. Like, this thing can be of value to brands. It can be the thing that elevates Austin Holloway, the sponsorship czar. How do we get in touch with Austin Holloway, the sponsorship czar? And how do we get our product out there in the Tuesday game? So I'm super excited. I enjoy very much chatting with you and finding somebody that's equally motivated. It sounds bad, but you start to realize as you get older that there's only so many people that actually try. And it's refreshing to see somebody really trying. And I just wish the best for you, man. And I appreciate your time tonight. And tell everybody who all you represent and how they can get in touch with you on some of your brands.
Yeah, thanks, Kamish. And right back at you again, man. We look forward to a long, prosperous Tuesday game. It's been a blast to be a part of it, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So we've got, most recently Songbirdie, a great Bluetooth speaker, great audio coming out of there. Small family-owned business out of the desert, I believe in Scottsdale area. We've got the big guy, Sun Mountain Sports, based out of Missoula. We've got the sister company, Sun Mountain Motorsports, based out of Missoula. We also have a really niche line. The owner's sister, Cindy Reimers. I represent Sun Mountain Specialties as well. That's like, pouches and tote bags, little throw-ins for your tournament, but she does a great job. And then you've got Next Belt, and you've got, of course, Bettinardi Golf. We do wedges as well. We do all kinds of milled products, so check that out. You've got Green Garden Gold CBD over there in Carrollton. Hopefully, I'm not forgetting anybody here.
Heritage Flags.
Here, oh yeah! Breaking news: Tradition Flags would like to sponsor next week's Tuesday game.
Oh no! Wow!
Breaking news!
Closest to the pin. What can they take home?
They can take home a nice embroidered flag made in the US of A out there in the Atlanta area. And we'll have to get a good club logo. I've got some samples in the mail to me right now, but it's a great company. We've worked with some really great clients, Royal Oaks, Dallas Athletic Club, It's just a nice embroidered flag, whether it's decorative, whether it's for the course. It's a great tee gift. If you get your buddies to sign it, frame it, put it up on the wall, use it as a trophy gift, runner up, first place, frame it again, have them put it up on the wall. But yeah, tradition flag, Steven Spencer. He'd like to get in on the action, man.
Oh, we should do the Tuesday game embroidered flags.
Great idea. That's awesome. Yeah, we can
bring that out of the players pool.
Shoot me the logo and I'll get a flag made up and we'll do some cool stuff. And yeah, man, I appreciate you listening and having me on tonight. It's been a pleasure to share my story. Hopefully something struck a chord with you or with somebody out there watching, potentially, if anybody signed on. And yeah, I just look forward to a very prosperous future of the Tuesday game, man. And I'm going to work my tail off to get that white jacket. So Yerp, Marsh, Mao, Brooksy, I'm coming for you, dude, in the nicest way possible, but I ain't taking any prisoners.
Well, another bit of breaking news. Austin was able to coordinate an away Tuesday game.
Yes.
With some interesting developments here in the Tuesday game. We're kind of doing a bit of a collaboration. Can you tell the folks about what you've kind of cooked up for us?
Well, I've got some great partners over there at Keaton Park that were the #1 FinCycle account in the entire country in terms of rentals. So they did more rentals on the FinCycles at Keaton Park than anybody else in the country. And Ty Martinez, that runs the show over there, has been awesome to work with. And I did talk to him about a little away game. So we're looking at the 16th, guys, the 16th of March, Tuesday game away on the FinCycles. And we're working on a little sponsorship package, but the course ties down to host us over there. He's seen what we're doing, Clay. He wants to join in. He said, it looks like y'all are having a lot of fun. That's awesome. I'd love to have y'all over here for an away game. So right now we are looking at Keaton Park Tuesday, I believe the 16th of March. And the goal would be to get a bunch of FinCycles over there, which they already have them, and have the entire Tuesday game playing on FinCycles. How cool would that be?
Super cool, especially if we can pitch this as the largest collection of FinCycles ever assembled for a competitive round of golf. The Sturgis of golf, if you will. What do we need to do in order to set a record like that?
Man, well, I just need to check with HQ and see what the current world record is out there right now. And then we just make sure that we do one more than whatever it is. So
let's make that the goal, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to come out and join the world record most FinCycles in one competitive event, March 16th, the Tuesday game.
That's right. Thank you to Ty Martinez over there at KP for opening up your doors and your arms to us to come over there. I'm looking forward to it, dude. The FinCycle's all about having more fun. And what do they say? Play faster, right?
It's within the vision of the Tuesday game to play faster, enjoy some leisure, and have fun. So it checks all the boxes. And I think it's an intriguing product. It'll be interesting to see who wins this race, this new HD DVD versus Blu-ray race. Who is going to be the dominant alternative vehicle on the golf course? And right now there's a bunch of different scooters. So whatever we can do to show our friends at Sun Mountain Motorsports that we're on board at the Tuesday game with making sure that this is the gold standard of alternative golf transportation, we're going to do whatever we can to make this thing look fun, first of all, fast, second of all, and I don't know what's third of all.
Fun, fast, and maybe a little freaky, you know?
Ooh,
In a good way, man. In a good way. It's all about the leisure, man. And honestly, I've just really enjoyed getting to know some of your buddies out there, and look forward to being back in the mix for the Tuesday game. At guess what time, guys? 1:30 every Tuesday. Everybody's welcome. Bring your sticks. Bring $20 for the Skins game. Walk, ride, come have some fun, meet some new friends, and work on your game.
It's a win-win-win-win.
And we all like winning. Hashtag winning.
Did you prepare some trivia questions, or is that going to be for another show?
Oh, you know what I did? It's on a screenshot right now on my phone. I wish I had written it down here, but maybe I can pull it up on my, let's see if I can, hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull this up on the old iPad here. I've got, I found some books, and there were some very interesting golf facts that, let's see. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I think we have got something here, Commish. Let's see. Maybe just one, but that's better than nothing, right? Here we go. Okay. Trivia question for all you yerps out there that are still listening and still watching. We've got astonishing but true golf facts. Let's see how I'm going to pose this. Okay, we'll give the masses this bit of information. The great Walter Hagen, as great as he is and he was, only had one hole-in-one in his entire career. We all know as golfers, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's not. Some people are like, yeah, I've got 18 holes in one. Some people are like, well, I've never had one. Well, Walter Hagen, one of the best golfers of all time, only had one. Name the course that it happened at. Name the course that it happened at. It happened in 1926.
The Historic Golf Club of Dallas.
Ooh, well, back in those days, if the GCOD was around, it was actually called Oak Cliff Country Club back then, but incorrect. Anybody else out there with a buzzer?
Anybody calling in via the grown phone, that's 925-SANDBAG, 925-726-3224. We'll give them just a moment.
Yeah, so we got Walter Hagen, one hole-in-one. If anybody calls in, if anybody's watching, and anybody calls in and gets it, and you know what? If anybody just calls in and participates, we might give a participation award away. But definitely, if you get it right, you're going to get a prize.
We'll see what kind of reach we have here in the 1L studios in friendly Bedford, Texas. I'm just happy that the power never went out. There was some pretty epic storms coming up as we got into things here. Uh-oh, I've lost your audio.
Unmute. Yeah, I guess we could even make it easier. It's crazy, man. The difference between golf in that day and age and golf now, because I'll just tell you, he hit a one iron, 100. He used a one iron, which you never see anymore. Well, very, very rare. 165-yard hole, one iron. I mean, dude,
it's like a
give
chip.
the guy. Give the guy a gold-plated one iron. You make a hole-in-one with a one iron, man. Like that's next level.
Right, I wonder what the landing angle on that was. What was the traj?
He was using a ball marked one, so he made a one with a one with a one.
Amazing.
Wow, I just amazed myself there. Well, looks like we're drawing some crickets, man. So we're just gonna give it to him. It happened at the beautiful Worcester Country Club in Massachusetts.
Do you like Worcester sauce?
I'm more of a honey mo kind of guy.
What's the best fast food?
Oh man, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A sauce, Chick-fil-A. Quick, don't think about it. What's the best hamburger in town?
Crazy Cowboy, Bedford, Texas.
Ooh, Crazy Cowboy. Hey, you know what? Because you said that, dude. I was really hoping to find an excuse to wear this guy. Crazy Cowboy checking in. Here we go.
Beautiful. Very nice. What size hat are you?
Oh man, this is a good 7 3/8, man. This is an old Stetson 4X.
Well, I got to get that for the thumbnail. Make sure you get right square in the middle. There we go. Can you wear that to the gala, please?
Consider it done, man. Canadian tuxedo coming up. Okay.
Fantastic. That's going to be the last Tuesday in June, the year-end gala. It's going to be something to behold, live streamed via the 1L studios out to the world. And to close, Austin, something that I've asked a lot of my guests in closing. You are now in your 30s. Looking back at yourself as a 18, 19, 20-year-old young man, what would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
Without a doubt, man, haters gonna hate. Don't put too much worth or value into what people think. Try not to care what others think. But know yourself and stay true to yourself, because haters gonna hate. They're gonna try to tear you down, and all it is they're just jealous of you. So if I could tell my young self anything, would be to not care so much about what other people think.
Well said. And with that, we close this episode of the Grown Man Radio Show, beaming across the world from the 1L studios in friendly Bedford, Texas. It's been a pleasure getting to know Austin Holloway a little bit better, get to hear about some of his brands, and I hope that you, dear listener, got one little spicy nugget. Even if this was of completely no value, it was, because we did it, as Austin Holloway said. You got to fall in love with the craft of what you're trying to do. Lose the results orientation. Yes, results are important. We live in a world where results are important, but results follow processes that you stick to consistently. And I hope that something of value is brought to you by this show as we sign out. Thank you very much for your time, Austin Holloway. How can they find you? What's your contact?
Man, we got hollowaygolf@gmail.com. That's HOLLOWAYGOLF, like the sport, @gmail.com. You can find me on my grown phone, 972-415-9849. Text me, call me, email me, TikTok me, gram me, book me, do whatever you want. I'm here for you 24/7.
Later.
Later, bud.